what's up guys? My name is Zack, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2024 Jeep Gladiator Mojave. Up front is a 3.6 liter V6, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I have spent the last 7 days driving this Jeep Gladiator. I've only ever reviewed a Gladiator basically in a glorified parking lot. I've never gotten to live with one of Jeep's products in this way, and so I'm excited to share all my thoughts and opinions that have accumulated over the last week. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 3.6 liter V6. Well, this is for sure a weak point of the Gladiator. It does feel underpowered, especially when you get on it. I think the V6 actually sounds decent, but you put your foot down, not a whole lot happens. Now, that could be due to the larger wheels. This is the Mojave, so it has the Fox shocks, bigger tires, bigger wheels, more beefy, and so there's a little bit more car, or actually a lot more car to tug around with the 3.6 liter, so that might be why it feels that way. Fuel economy has not been great, 15.8 on average with my time with the car. Now, like I said, it has a lot of extra weight to pull around, and that 3.6 liter is working pretty hard, so that's why it ends up being that way. And also, I've done a fair amount of highway driving, and it's not exactly aerodynamic, so all of those together make a rather low number for modern vehicles. Similarly, the 8-speed automatic is fine. It hesitated a couple of times. It wasn't quite sure of itself on highway on-ramps, but it does the job at the end of the day, and it's not that big of a lunk. Last but not least, it wouldn't be a true Jeep product if it wasn't four-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Jeep Gladiator? Well, this will get into my final thoughts segment. I have plenty of opinions. Here's the thing. Driving the Jeep Gladiator with the doors on, roof on, is not a good experience. It rides very, very harshly. It takes bumps incredibly personal. And so if you have a bad back, this is not the vehicle for you. This is a very, very rugged chassis. Steering is fine, and like I said, throttle response barely exists, but driving it on the highway was borderline sketchy at highway speeds. And when you actually get on the brakes, because of these big wheels and tires and tuned suspension, it actually pulls like a vehicle that has front drum brakes. If you've ever driven a car pre-1950s and you get on the brakes, it'll just start drifting off to one side or the other. The Gladiator does that. And so I drive a lot of vintage cars here on the channel. I'm quite used to that, but someone who's buying a brand new vehicle might not be, so it's something to note. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have two physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my tachometer. Love that little danger zone up at the top. And off to the right is my speedometer, but like I said, I do get a screen in the center that gives me plenty of helpful information, which I'll cycle through now. Jeep has always been pretty good about this ever since they've started integrating screens into the dashboard, as well as every time you start it, you get this really cool graphic that reminds you of Jeep's heritage from way back in the day. On the steering wheel on the left, we have the selectors for that gauge cluster screen, as well as phone options, and off to the right, we have our cruise control and adaptive cruise. Now, you turn these on with separate buttons, so if you hit the cruise control button to the right, this is not adaptive cruise. Similarly, if you hit the button off to the left, this is for adaptive cruise, so two different cruise control buttons. I also do get skip track and volume around the back of the steering wheel, like Chrysler products have been doing since the 2000s. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, headlight switch, gauge dimmer switch, and our power button for the cargo outlet. Moving on to the door, we have our power mirrors and power locks, but no power windows, which we'll talk about in a second. Moving into the center, we do get this new larger infotainment display, and as I posted this on my Instagram, someone commented that it looks more at home, and it looks like a nicer interior because of this screen, and I'd have to agree. You do have some off-road pages, which is really cool. You do have front and rear cameras, and I'll cycle through a bunch of other things. It also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is fantastic. And overall, the screen experience has actually been very, very good here in the Jeep Gladiator. Down below, we have our climate controls. Jeep is sticking with physical climate controls because they know their clientele. Your hands are going to be dirty. You might have gloves on. You're going to be off-roading, and so touchscreen climate controls don't really do well in those conditions, so Jeep hasn't done it yet. We do have heated seats and a heated steering wheel. We have our traction control off and auto start stop button here, as well as our screen off, hill descent control, and things like that. Down below, we have even more buttons for the window switches. The window switches are here in the center because you can take the doors off. And people always say, well, then why are they in the center? If you take the doors off, there's no windows to roll down anyway. The reason for that is basically for wiring and to protect the switches. If you put the door in your garage, something hits the switch, pulls a wire, it's just one less thing to worry about breaking. Then we do have a 12-volt outlet, aux, USB-A, and USB-C, so plenty of options here in the Gladiator. And then down below, we have our off-road plus button, our rear axle locker, really, really cool to see that, and then 4 auxiliary switches, which can be wired to whatever LED lights you end up pasting onto your Gladiator. Then we do have the shifter off to the right with a Gladiator up on the top. Love that big red button as well. And to the left of that, we have the 4-wheel drive setting. So I love this actual manual 4-wheel drive. You shove it in to what you want instead of just pushing a dainty little button. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. However, it fails. Very predictable. Now we do have a dual opening center console, which is nice, a little upper storage and lower storage, which has a USB-A in it. And then we'll talk about the seats. The seats are cloth and manual. Now you can option some Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator products with power seats now. However, most will get manual again, so they don't get wet, so they don't get ruined, and just to keep some simplicity. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2024 Jeep Gladiator Mojave, and a couple of things to note. First of all, the seats are very straight up and down, very stiff seats. I do have climate control vents, I have my window switches down here, and I have 2 USBs and a wall outlet. I have cup holders down here that actually do, or almost do, pass the big friggin' bottle test. It's close. But the really nice thing about the back seats as well is that you can fold them up and you get these little compartments that actually allow you to store some stuff in them. I was able to put my camera equipment back here when I took my girlfriend and her siblings kayaking, and so they didn't get wet or ruined by the soaking wet life preservers and paddles that were shoved back here. So that is really, really nice. You do get some compartment space. Other than that, nothing too crazy right home about. Headroom is actually fantastic because this is a hard top that you can remove with nuts and bolts. I have not personally. It's kind of a big job, but very nice headroom. Knee room is okay, not the end of the world, but also not fantastic. Let's hop into the very back and talk about the truck bed, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Jeep Gladiator Mojave, and just grab it here, regular tailgate. It does have kind of a soft opening, which is nice. We get some LED lights in here, which is fantastic as well, and we get a wall outlet, which can be powered and turned on and off from up front. These straps are mine. That's from when we were carrying the kayak. We have some storage bags for the doors and whatnot, and we have this Mopar tonneau cover, which is really cool. So in order to open it, you actually pull down on these, and then it folds up like so, and then you have straps that come over and you click them in and it holds it up like this so you can actually haul stuff and open it up at a moment's notice. Now you can of course take it off the front, a little bit bigger of a job, but I just wanted to show that off. Overall, that is the rear cargo space of the Gladiator. Great for little campers, putting a camper back in it or something of the sort, but really, really cool. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I actually love the look of the Mojave. Now, here's a stock one that I saw on the highway up in Minneapolis a couple weeks ago. I don't like the look of that. It looks like it skipped leg day, but this has that beefy, girthy look that I absolutely love. I think it's fantastic. I love the orange accents on it, the tow hooks, the bigger wheels and tires. Overall, it's been one of my favorite things, especially at night with the LED lights. I think it really is a terrific looking truck and looks very masculine, looks very ready to go, and I like that appeal. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think, having driven the Jeep Gladiator Mojave for the last 7 days? Well, I have incredibly split feelings. Maybe my most split feelings I've ever had on an automobile. When I first took delivery of this car 7 days ago, I immediately hopped on the highway to meet up with some friends, and I despised this vehicle with the core of my being. On the highway with the roof on, it is terrible. It's unaerodynamic, it's sluggish, and the ride is just terrible. It is truly, truly bad. And so for the first 48 hours of my test, I really disliked it. But then the sunshine did end up coming out, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna take the doors off. I've never done that on a Jeep. I'm gonna take the roof off. I've never done that. And while it was a little bit of a learning process, I got it down pat now, I did a complete 180. In a matter of minutes, driving this truck with the top off and the doors off is such a magical, wonderful experience, and one of the coolest automotive experiences I've ever had. It's so freeing, it's so open, it's just so downright fun. And then the Gladiator started to make sense. I mean, it really truly started to make dollars and cents when I took the doors off, when I took the roof off. But you see, that's the thing, is that you have to live with this car for 99% of other days where you can't do that. Unless you live in a beach town or somewhere where you have a second vehicle, you have to put up with slop and dirt for 364 days out of the year. But that 365th day is gonna be some of the most fun you'll have probably all year. It's so joyful, it's so whimsical. Everyone who I drove around in this truck with the doors and roof off thought it was awesome. And while airing my grievances to a friend, he actually said, hey, how many convertible pickup trucks are on the market right now? And I said, you know what? That's a good point. If you're looking for a car to daily drive, especially here in the Midwest, and you want a pickup truck, I would highly recommend seeking out the Colorado, the Tacoma, or the Ford Ranger. But if you want a Jeep product that is going to have that bed for carrying a kayak, or as I've spent a lot of time in national parks and I learned, a lot of people put camper backs in this. That's something you can't really do with a Wrangler. Put a big camper back on it. Take it out to the parks. If you love national parks and you road trip to every one, this is a great truck for that. But if you work a 9-to-5 business job and want something simple to commute with, this is not what you're looking for. But if you do end up buying a Gladiator, I highly, highly recommend taking the doors and top off. It will fully change your mind. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Jeep for loaning me this Gladiator for the last 7 days. Like I said, it's been an emotional and truly learning experience here. Jeep is great to work with. I also reviewed the 392 Wrangler here on the channel, so please go check out that video. I hope you guys are enjoying Truck Day here on the Shooting Cars channel. Huge thank you to G Schmidt for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle, and of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Not much happening, but I'm having fun. Take care, guys.